Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Land Use and Building Management Committee on June 4th, 2025. It is 7:04. First item is on the agenda is roll call. Tonight we have with us council members Heather Dunn, Jim Frayer, Greg Burnett. We have Nicole Eady and myself, Barbara Smith. Moving on to the acceptance of the minutes. Will someone please move the minutes? Mr. Burnett, thank you very much. Are there any changes, additions, deletions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, minutes carry unanimously. Moving on to public participation. Is there anyone who would like to speak? There's no one here in chambers. Anyone online? Doesn't appear to be. Okay. Then I will go ahead and close public participation. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. A, authorize a public hearing at the next Land Use and Building Management Committee meeting in reference to an easement for Eversource Energy to provide new electrical service to the Norwalk High School project located at 23 Calvin Murphy Drive. Review and recommend approval of the proposed Eversource Energy easement for new electrical service to the new Norwalk High School project located at 23 Calvin Murphy Drive in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Section 824. And authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute any and all documents necessary for the Eversource Energy easement for new electrical service to the Norwalk High School project located at 23 Calvin Murphy Drive. Do I have a motion? Mr. Frayer, thank you very much. We have previously approved the Eversource line, the electric service to Norwalk High School. This is regarding the easement. So, Alan, do you want to just?
No, it's very short and sweet. Yeah, bottom line is that we're going to put transformers and stuff on Norwalk High School, new for the new school. And the Eversource required that we give them easement in case there's an emergency issue. They're permitted to get on the property. That's basically it. There's a survey map attached to the drawing, and basically we need to schedule a public hearing and go through the process of giving an easement to the utility company.
Okay. Any questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor? No. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that carries unanimously. Moving on to item B. Authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Aeron Security, Inc., doing business as Aero Security, to provide security services at City Hall, Health Department, and the libraries. City Hall base contract for a daytime security guard and a nighttime security guard, fiscal year 2025-26 shall not exceed $106,572. Fiscal year 2026-27, $112,570. Fiscal year 2027-28, $118,525 with two one-year options for 2028-29 and 2029-30. Account number noted. Norwalk Health Department base contract for a daytime security guard, fiscal year 2025-26 shall not exceed $53,286. Fiscal year 2026-27, $56,285. Fiscal year 2027-28, $59,263 with two one-year options for 2028-29 and 2029-30. Account number noted. Libraries base contract for a daytime security guard and an evening security guard, fiscal year 2025-26 shall not exceed $138,319. Fiscal year 2026-27, $146,104. Fiscal year 2027-28. $153,833 with two one-year options for 2028-29 and 2029-30. Account number noted. Will someone please move that? Ms. Dunn, thank you. So these are standard security contracts, but a new.
Right, it's a multi-year contract. It's pretty straightforward. Right now we have security services, and by the way, Sherelle was here tonight. I don't know too much about it, generally speaking, but bottom line is every few years when the existing contract expires, we go out for RFP. And we got proposal. This is about the same price, a little slightly lower, but these are positions that we are meeting with, what you call it, living wages. But it's not that much more for these services. So it's not like, high paying security guard. It's very basic pay security guard. You can see it's a $53,000 for the health department for one staff person. And that's including benefits and overhead and profits. So again, you can see it's not like so it is somewhat challenging when you try to find a right security guard for the building. And also because most of the building have only one guard, it's hard to find coverage as well. Because like, let's say, during the daytime, we're one person here. If that person for some reason, sick or something like that, they got to find temporary coverage. And it's a little bit challenging to fill this Norwalk account for a security company. So we have, this is a new company we're looking at, so we're going to see how it goes. But then many times we do have issues and we'll manage it through as time goes by.
Questions? Comments? Mr. Burnett?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Did we get, this is a new company, did they provide us with any type of volume discount based upon the fact that they're covering 3 different locations?
There was sure, there is no real value discount. These are, again, these are basically slightly above living wages. So
Okay.
to be very honest with you, I'm not sure we want discount. Because you really want to try to attract individual that will committed to service our account and getting the right person and paying the wages. It's very challenging to have steady employees from the security guard company. So, I mean, being very professional about this kind of thing, it's like less money doesn't mean we get better service. And the hiring the employee is very critical because, I think what entices people to take on stay on this account is really when in the fall and winter we have overtime on weekend. That's make it a little more interesting for them. Otherwise, it's maintaining staff person is very challenging. They didn't offer any I don't believe they offer any discount for it because it's really slightly above living wages for these folks.
I mean, we're working directly with the security company. If the individual that they provide is not providing the proper services, it's not up to us to tell that individual to go, or we go to the service and say, we're not happy with the service you're providing, and it'll be on them to find somebody else. So we're not directly managing the person that's providing the security service.
Right.
So my question was not really based upon the hourly rate of the individual, but more so from the overall company itself, the fact that they're covering 3 different key locations in Norwalk. Do they see that as a value to their company to offer us a volume discount? To say, well, the fact that we're covering 3 different locations, we can rotate security people across 3 different locations. We have the contract, we're gonna give you this. As opposed to if they said, okay, we're only covering City Hall. Do you follow my?
Oh, yeah. But at the same time, where would that? Again, I don't believe they offer any discount.
Okay,
Because the salary
that's
will
the
come
root of
from,
my question.
typically something like that would come from the profit margin is very small on these typically on these contracts, like, so at some point that like they can't change the rate to the employees, right? And at that rate, you're not attracting people that are committed. And you know what? There's something, I'm making this up here. Like, if something happening to Friday at home, I'll stay home one day kind of thing. It's much more casual because there's not that much money for the employees. So try to keeping employee attracted to this account. It's a challenge. So yes, we don't have direct relationship with the employee, but again, when you close the building, there's the staff responsibility, there's training and stuff like that in terms of what this building, they got to check all the room before they leave, everything's locked and stuff. when we change when the security guard company change an employee, it creates a lot of problems for us. It's not so simple because nobody in the building, they lock a portion of the building, then lock another portion of the building, on and on. So we want steady employment, but how do you get that? Right? It's potentially providing higher salary rate, but sometimes you still don't get a quality stuff that we had to change. But once we get somebody, we want to try to keep them as long as we can indirectly. So,
So to that point, did the current agency that, security company that we work with, did they bid on
they did.
and their numbers weren't, competitive? I mean, to your point, the fact that they're here already, they know the staff, they know the building. Were their numbers that far off for us to say we don't want to continue that service, which we've become accustomed to?
There's two levels of service they provide. One is administration of the staffing and providing coverage to the other person in the building. I don't want to say too much about it, but we're not fully happy with the management of the account.
Okay, enough said. Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
it's also a regional presence is important too. So anyway.
Okay.
Ms. Dunn.
So my question, my basic one is that it just says daytime and nighttime security. So City Hall, it's gonna be from opening till midnight?
4 o'clock, right? So the daytime
Yeah.
shift starts around,
I'm just kind of wondering what the hours are.
I think,
The reason I'm asking that is because the City Hall, security is what, 106 max, and the library is 138, and that's only daytime and evening, which would mean to me that there's less hours in it. I don't know.
I think the library may have weekend hours.
Oh, it's the weekend that it's, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's what
they
I-
have regular weekend hours, but City Hall will have overtime hours on Saturday and Sunday, depends on the council hall. And the money come from a different account kind of thing. So that's overtime, and that's, I don't believe it's in it. So our typical hours for this, I know the security leaves at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the evening shift comes in at 4 to 12 o'clock. So our cleaning people leaves around 10 o'clock or so. So there's 2 hours behind that, but then we need to hire somebody for 8 hours. So again, last night, the Board of Ed meeting went on late too. So there's all those miscellaneous issues. So we keep the security guard here till 12.
Okay, Mr. Fred.
You mentioned the library, City Hall, the health department. Are there any other buildings that require security, and do we have a different security?
No, we don't. Those are the three.
Police station.
But they-
No, you probably need a lot.
If they need help, then we're in trouble, right? I don't need it.
No, but I mean, like, any of the parks and rec facilities.
No,
any of
the police department, no.
And I was just gonna say DPW, the garage there. We don't have.
We don't get public going to DPW garage.
I know you don't get public, but I mean, that's all we want to keep out. Public. I mean,
No, we don't. Those
we've got a whole lot, we've gone through this, that all the buildings that you manage. And all the rest of them don't have security?
No.
Does that that presents no risk? No, it doesn't, or is it? No.
No,
We don't
yeah.
mind telling us what buildings are unsecured.
We're only mentioned 3 here, 3 locations that are covered.
Yeah,
And I didn't ask specifically for which ones were not, but we know the police aren't covered.
I think security is it's interesting thing, and we never had any issue with other buildings.
Yeah.
So I mean, besides schools have their own security guards and everything else,
Right.
for all other miscellaneous building that we have, and whether it's help, we don't have, I don't know. We just don't have a need for it.
Yes.
And traditionally, never issue of
Yeah.
like, public going into this building and creating a mess and things like that. So we consider a little bit when we have 98 South Main Street, because there's people wandering through and taking showers and in the bathroom kind of thing. But we only had one tenant at a time with AmeriCare back then, and they locked the doors. So that public doesn't get into it unless they call them ahead of time to gain access.
Well,
There may be in the
necessarily wouldn't be
future,
buildings that
the-
you, wouldn't be necessarily buildings that you leave open all the time, but I mean, the library will be locked at some point. And so when the library is locked, there's not gonna be a security person there. So-
Yeah, I mean, when they open, they have security guards in both
Yeah, okay.
buildings.
All right,
I think the only one that since we're having this conversation, I think the only one that I think of potential in the future is probably the recreation center.
how about Matthews Lockwood Mansion?
We actually don't manage that building. So the day-to-day operations being done by Lockwood Matthews Mansion. We are only about starting this coming fiscal year. Building management may be providing some building system support.
Yeah.
In terms of maintaining equipment, but we are not, generally speaking, it's a, Lockwood Matthews Mansion, its own entity in terms of operating the building and all that stuff.
Do we know
But-
whether they have security there?
They never had a request, because even though if their request is under their own budget and to
Yeah.
manage that.
I think they. don't
Security
have somebody on
system.
the Grounds
Yeah,
that kind of
systems.
controls the grounds, but not inside.
That would be
I don't know,
recreation and parks.
I don't know, I would have thought that with the renovation, this would have been, whatever they put in is improved, I mean, they've got a new fire suppression system in there, so, I would have hoped that, I mean, it's something that I'd like to see if we could get more information about.
I would venture to say that there is a security system. If someone were to enter the, and I, I can say that because, just, from the part-time job that I had at Mill Hill, those buildings are secure, there's a security system there, so.
And so the next question would be, I've got a security system on my house,
Right.
but the alarm goes off and it automatically calls police or calls me. Somebody should be called.
Yeah, I've set
So
up
I
the
don't know.
alarm at Mill Hill a couple times. You just-
All right, well, I think it's something we should look into. I mean, you've got responsibility for, we're seeing you maintain more and more buildings. Security would certainly come under that umbrella.
Ms. Edie has a question?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lowe, I just had a quick question. So just take for one salary, 53,000. Is that the actual salary or is that what the company is charging us? That's an upcharge to that, right?
No, this is the contract amount, so the employee get less than that. That's
what-
include
yeah,
over and
that's-
profit and benefit.
Mhm.
I state by cities living wages. If they don't provide the employee with benefit package, then the
Mhm.
salary will go up a little bit to cover that benefit package. But
Yeah.
but again, it's very close to the living wages, so it's really no room to to
Mhm.
offer the employee anything more kind of thing. I mean, these value, generally speaking, is competitive with industry, but again, at this type of security guard, that's what it gets in the industry. So people do come and go quite often, but that's, as a city hall, we really don't want to change too much. We have a good security guard there. We want to keep it as long as we can.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to know that there was an upcharge in there. That's all. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
One additional question. Does this contract provide any provisions for if we had like a special event at a city-owned managed building that they would provide security services as opposed to us paying for a local policeman to be at an event? For example, if we had something going on at the gym at Ben Franklin and we anticipated a large turnout, large population of people, it might be advantageous to have a security guard present for presence versus, us paying overtime for a local policeman to be there. Does this contract offer that flexibility that it may not be within these numbers, but it might be a separate invoice?
Isn't that a union thing with like Parks and Rec though?
I'm
Like,
sorry,
isn't that a union thing with the police department?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
for
asking the
anything
question.
in the city, I think you have to hire police. I think it's part of their contract.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, first of all, we never have a request from, let's say, for example, you give
Right.
Ben Frank and Jim. I think that if there's a request, if there's a security concern, chances are we will not be hiring these security companies. Because these are not armed security, these are really, it's more directional and just a presence. So if there's a real concern about public safety, it really is a police department.
Okay,
Okay.
understood.
So, and also these are so unique that, you know, when we hire once every 2 years kind of thing, the person probably doesn't know what to do and things like that. They're not familiar with the building. I think there's a different level of respect from the, if there's a large event. I think having a police officer is probably the best thing because there's a different kind of respect between the public and the police officer versus a security guard that looks like me, kind of thing, you know? So it's a little different. And I mean, we use the company to provide services for event at City Hall and Concert Hall. But generally speaking, these are very, you know, event that we know. You know, regularly, that is different groups hosting, like whether there's an orchestra or whatever kind of thing. So that's basically what we do. It's more like public relations and coordination and you know, a type of security and more than a really security in sense of you know, armed guard and things like that kind of security. Okay. This is having a presence.
Go ahead.
Sorry, because I'm thinking you were talking about 98 South Main Street, you know, I've been very vocal about the fact that we use shelters differently. So we have a Red Cross has a memorandum of understanding for Brian McMahon for sheltering. But there's a point where you transfer from sheltering and feeding and sheltering, sleeping, to kind of more just a place for people to come and charge their phones, call people, have air conditioning or heat, you know, especially homeless people that are transitioning to that kind of sheltering, which would be much better, especially as schools open up. Sorry, going on about this, but is there a thought, have you talked to this company about like the fact that when 98 South Main goes online, there may be, it may be beneficial so that people can come in and use the space for us to have security there, you know, maybe we could open more hours than hiring secretary or staff person. It might be cheaper for us.
I think that conversation need to have when we're about to open or after we open. I think Sub-North as a community has changed through the years. I mean, I would say it back in the 80s, and you know, this border building and things like that. But I think the community in terms of security and public has been continuing to improve. You know, even that when America is in the building, I think they've been here recently, even in the last 4 or 5 years. I think there's 3 events they actually call the police department on kind of thing. But I think it's the community is continue to that type of kind of undesirable activity continue to improve.
I guess I was talking about undesirable, just if it's open, having somebody to say, hey, you're here, what can I do for you, you know?
Right. So it's really up to the
I'm
Parks Department.
if it's open.
So it would be up to the Parks Department when the building's open, how they run program, how often they need, and whether there's folks come into the building that also you have kids in the building, right? After school and stuff like that. So you probably want some kind of control at the door so
Yeah.
that
That's what I was
not
asking.
anybody can walk in and, you know, and then, so there's that level of sensitivity that we need to have. And I really don't know how much and how little we need until we start programming the building, see, like, do we need it twice a week or?
So
or
you're
do we-
looking at budgeting for next year? I don't know when, because.
We're gonna
It's not
open
that-
probably like February or March next year, so
So
I think there is some money
budget.
budgeted by the Parks Department for spring of next year opening kind of thing. So again, all those numbers in terms of utility costs and everything else is still unknown at this point. So I think
So that'll
there will be
happen.
more conversation from operating side from both this committee as well as Recreation Park Committee to decide how we want to best manage the different aspect of the building operations. So it's more to be talked about.
But you would think that this company would be probably.
I think this one would be the
willing
appropriate.
to wrap
Right.
it all together.
But when Greg was mentioning about like a special event kind of thing, I think that's a different type of security that we need to provide. But we like, recreation center kind of thing, it's more friendly and more, it's not like a big security risk, but you want the present that people need to behave accordingly kind of thing, so.
For somebody to run across the street and tell the police they need to come. We do have police very close, which is nice.
All right, all set? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. All right, just want to point out in the next three items, we have some additional numbers to add, and so I will read those and then we will vote on the amended language. Item C, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a guaranteed maximum price GMP amendment to the Newfield Construction Group's LLC's contract for the Brian McMahon High School HVAC IAQ grant improvement project, state project one noted, for a total amount not to exceed $8,352,277. Trade costs $7,771,540. CM fees 2.2%, $179,794.61. CM contingency 1.85%, $143,773.49. General conditions $437,168.75, and adding delete permit fee $180,000 minus $180,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Alan, minus 100. Okay. Account numbers noted. And authorize owner contingency allowance for change orders to the GMP for a total not to exceed $167,045.54. Account numbers noted. Do I have a motion to move that item with the amended figure? Ms. Dunn, thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, we also have Jim Giuliano on the electronically, virtually, as well as Steve Pachuri, who's from Newfield Construction. So in the event that there's more detailed question that I can't answer, I will ask them to provide additional information. As you know, the city of Norwalk have received state approval on 6 school HVAC projects, total about $36 million of construction costs. And the city is that it's eligible to receive reimbursement at 60%. So again, traditionally, the state does not reimburse like improvement project that replacement of air conditioning equipment or boilers and stuff like that. So with this program, we are able to receive reimbursement, so which is that's the main reason why we have to go on after this. And the committee and the common council is aware that the city had approved city share as well as the state share, so we can implement these projects. Recently we approved Brookside School already, and it's scheduled to start. Replacement equipment's been ordered, and it's portion of it is going to deliver in beginning of July for installation. And some of the equipment is going to be late August. So we plan to put the rest of the equipment for Brookside on 2 weekends in the fall, so that we can finish that project. So Brookside School came in within budget, while the other projects, the other 5 projects came in much higher than what our budget numbers are. So I mentioned that previously. And so when we received the number, we had to go through a lot of work behind the scene to reduce, we find our scope of the work we incorporate into the project. What we had to do is we had to take the fundamental part of the project that are needed, air conditioning, replacement heating or cooling equipment, and the things you would like to do were all eliminated. So we're going to extend and replace some of the ventilation system or building management control, because financially we weren't able to afford it as part of this project. But our goal is really get air conditioning to Rowayton School. I'm jumping around a little bit. Rowayton School and Aramaic School, as well as replace the air conditioning to Brian McMahon. and provide air conditioning and replace boilers that were waiting school and Silvermine School. So we want to get our primary objective accomplished. And then also get the building ready in the event that there's future money available, that we can simply add on the pieces that we couldn't do. Simple, for example, Narrowmix School, the way we designed, we were going to do air conditioning the entire school into the gym. That project is budgeted, I think it's $6 million or so. It came like $8 million. So it's not like 10% more, it's 40 or 50% more. So there's some really deep thinking about what was the minimum that we need to do and how we're going to accomplish as much as we can with the money we have. We only got one bid from this. So we had to, working with purchasing, we had the ability to work with the one bidder. At the same time, we had to negotiate with them to get best value out of what we can afford. But meanwhile, it's like Narrowmix School, what we did was we want to make sure that we put a new electrical system. The reason being is that there's not enough electricity to support air conditioning. So, but we want to get the electrical system replaced and upgraded. And then we're not able to do the gym at this point, but electrically wise, we are all set up to do that in the future. So there's all different level of strategy to get what we have, what we can do with the money we have and get as much out of it as possible. In fact, what we did was we actually ordered I think you may remember this. We actually ordered the boiler separately, directly to the distributor manufacturer in advance of actually going out to bid, so that we can actually get the boilers for Silvermine and Bowayne School ordered in advance. We actually hired a contractor. So there's a lot of thought behind it and a lot of strategy got in place to manage these. It's kind of challenging because in today's bidding environment for mechanical contractor, it's very, well, actually it's not very competitive because there's so much work out there that nobody's really like bidding on this stuff. We only got one bid, so we are doing the best we can. What's in front of you is 3 schools, and the one we moved on is for it's the first one we did. I'm sorry. It's actually, this is for Brian McMahon High School. So for Brian McMahon, what we're doing is this. For Brian McMahon was renovated as new, with the addition of science wing back in 2003 or 4. The entire building, it's air conditioning except the gym, auxiliary gym, and the weight room and the locker rooms. The problem with that is Brian McMahon is actually our emergency shelter. And the place they use most is the gym. That's most critical. Yet we don't have air conditioning. So that is our priority. But at the same time, you may be aware of this, that I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I don't manage a building in terms of our operations, but for whatever reason, we only have the chiller plant has a single chiller. There's no backup. So about 2 or 3 years, I mean, it's about 20 years old, right? The mechanical system. So about 2 or 3 years ago, when that unit had problems, Bill Hodel had actually go out and rented a portable unit to run the building, and in order to fix it. So the existing chiller is repaired, but at the same time is that the life of it is again now it's it's probably like 22 years old, and there's no backup system. So as part of this project, we are providing with the modified scope. We provide air conditioning in the gym only. We're not doing the auxiliary gym, the weight room, and the locker room. But we are providing air conditioning in the main gym. And also we're putting 2 chillers in. And these are not going to be inside the building. This is going to be on outside the building by the loading dock. And part of the cost is that at the loading dock area, that's the only place we can think of to put them. The loading dock has like a underground oil tank to support we have a dual fuel system for the heating system. So we have an oil tank underground, which we don't use at all because we never run oil anyway. We run natural gas in the building. And then there's also another oil tank underground for the emergency generator. So we have to remove those in order to put the 2 chiller plants in. And then we have to, again, we're going to eliminate the underground oil tank for the heating system, but we will have to put an above ground tank for the emergency generator. So there are a lot of things going, a lot of parts going on, but bottom line is that, like, we revised the scope, we were able to manage within the budget for Brian McMahon High School. So this summer, we plan to do all the exterior work, and then we order the equipment and finish the work in late fall, I believe. So again, last 3 weeks, there've been a lot of meetings and trying to strategize how best to implement the project. There's also discussion about second shift work, how effective it is cost-wise. So we developed a strategy that to get as much as we can do with the money we have. So overall, I think that this is we accomplished most of what we want to do, except that we don't have we won't be air conditioning those secondary spaces, but the main objective is accomplished. And also this list of different accounts, in order to come, we are about the state funding project, we are about $700,000 short. So that's why there's all the different account that the existing Brian McMahon account that was for miscellaneous mechanical upgrade and stuff like that, we added all together. And I spoke to Jared Schmidt already, kind of thing. We went through this together, and I still need to continue to talk to him. But generally speaking, these are okay to use to consolidate into this project to make it happen, so that we will not be going for a special appropriation to do what we want to do.
Yes, I know. We've had quite a few discussions about this, so I have a lot of the information. So questions, Mr. Burnett?
Yes, thank you. So I guess my basic question is the fact that the bids came out back higher than what we had initially anticipated. There's no opportunity to go back to the state and share that information with them to see if they would provide additional funding now that we have actual bids. I mean, $2 million is quite, as you stated, quite the difference.
Yes.
So the state will consider providing us additional funding to cover that gap?
It would not be administratively. It would be a special legislative action to do that. I'm not a state person, so the fundamental problem is this for us, for building managers, that we want to start the work this summer. So my responsibility to start implementing this project. I can't wait for, even if we have an intent to get more money. We can't, it would take us 6 months a year, so we wouldn't be able to do any work this summer. So what this does, we give us the ability to start the work this summer. This is in 2 weeks. Right, summer starts and like school ends not this Friday, but next week, Friday. So we are scheduled to start pre-construction meeting next week and start gearing up for demolition and things like that already. So if we want to seek money, then we're not going to sign any contracts. And so this summer is gone. So again, originally this grant money is supposed to be completed by December this year. The state doesn't really give us any time. So we asked for extension of 1 year already to December of 2026. So I think we can continue to ask for more money kind of thing with the state, but it's not administrative. It's not like there's 5% that we can go over kind of thing. So we have to ask special requests to the state and request the money. They got to go through their funding cycles and stuff. By the time we get the money, it could be, I'm not sure they have a special session this fall. If they do, maybe we can ask for it at that time. Otherwise, it'll be summer next year. So, and then what do we do with these bids?
And thank you for that. I understand that. I mean, based upon your strategy that you're planning to implement, you said you're going to do work so that if we get more money, we can do the additional work.
Right.
So my question is, do we have a plan to ask for more money? Is that being executed? Knowing that we need more money to do everything we want to do.
At this point, I haven't gone that far. All I know is like now mixed school. We are putting all the electrical system in. So in the future, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, we can ask for and secure additional funding to do the air conditioning in the gym. Right. But I haven't mentally, I haven't got to that point of.
No, I hear you.
Planning out,
So,
planning out what the
so I
future
guess
brings
my
us.
point would be, if we can take that as a follow-up, that whatever the process is to ask for additional funding to cover the gap on any of these schools, we should start implementing that now. Whoever we need to go to or ask the state for additional funding as you're going forward.
Forward, right.
Work. And with the strategy that you're implementing of doing the necessary work and providing flexibility that if we get additional dollars, we can do the complete job. That's great, but to your point, I know you've got 50 million balls in the air there, but someone needs to pick up the ball in terms of asking for more money from the state.
Mhm.
So I don't know who we need to go to say, let's start the process of providing the state with whatever information they need to consider providing additional funding now that we have actual hard numbers. And there's, just for McMahon, there's a $2 million gap.
Oh, yeah, it's huge,
What's your normal process for doing that
additional money.
with the state?
I think we had to speak state legislation,
Yeah.
legislation to see how much interest they are. You know, we requested 6 projects. The city of North submitted 6 projects. I was actually presently surprised that we actually got all of them approved. So altogether, $36 million. We probably one of the city that got the most of this grant cycle kind of thing. So.
But now reality is setting in that we have actual dollars, and what we thought our share was could potentially be a lot more if the state's not going to give us additional. So now that question becomes, where do we as a city taxpayer find those additional dollars? McMahon alone is a $2 million gap.
You know, Ellen, you said something to me when we were talking today, and also when you first brought this up to me, is you've created a plan here where we will meet our needs, but not necessarily our wants here, right? So the needs will be met, and then you're laying the groundwork so that, if there is additional state funding, we can, go further with it. And so I think that, we just, make contact with our state delegation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, as I told you, it just, as of last week, we're still trying to get this all
Mhm,
together. So we can, and last week, we can anticipate a future, but we don't know what the future is at that point. So, once we got this thing lined up and get it going, I think we will, and we should have this conversation about what's the feasibility of getting additional support from the state. But again, if you ask me the question, how much we need from the state last week, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And also it's kind of interesting because it's like some of these buildings we were looking to, what we would like to do is building management, energy management system for the entire building, right? But with these reductions, we're not doing the entire building, and we're not putting a building management system to control old equipment either. We are putting in building management system to tie in the new boiler or air conditioning unit, but we're not tying to the existing equipment kind of thing. So those are the kind of what we need to do and what we want to do a little bit. So it's a whole another thinking process in terms of amount of funding and timing to see what we look to do kind of thing. So I think anyway, I don't want to get too much into the contractor relations and the bidding and stuff like that. But there's another thinking process I need to go through to figure out how and when we want to, even we get additional money, how do we implement that work? This is a separate conversation.
So how much do we have in the budget right now?
For this project?
Yeah.
This project is $6.4 million. And when the bids came in, when you included all the soft and hot costs, it was $9.6 million. So we are
So we
actually
can't
$3 million
afford
below, when the bids come in, $3 million higher than what we have.
So the bids that came in are the numbers that you've got here? Because that comes to 8.5.
No. I'm sorry if let me just say this one more.
GC, the bids that, the trade costs you have, trade, CM fees, so on and so on, all the way on down, less the 180, plus the.
I'm sorry, I got the wrong project. I'm sorry, I read the wrong line. This is Brian and Man. I'm sorry. Brian and Man budget is $8.3 million.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
8.5, I said 8.5. If you
Yeah.
take out the 180.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Brian and Man is $8.3 million of budget. The bids came in, including all the software, is $10.8 million.
Okay. So we only have in the budget 8.3.
Right, so,
So how can we even approve this then? Because we'd have to have a special appropriation. wouldn't we?
well, that's why we added the other account numbers.
Well, if you have the other account numbers, that makes up the difference then.
Yeah,
So we don't have a shortage. So we're not short now.
right, because we added all these different accounts to make it up to, so we can do this project now.
Okay, hold on. So we got bids for 10 something, right? That's our cost.
Right,
And we only have 8.5.
8.3.
8.3 in all these
right,
accounts.
and then when the bid comes in, including all software, it's 10.8, so we do this rescoping and all that stuff, we bring it down to,
So to me,
$9 million.
we're only gonna approve 8.3.
no, in a way, because
Not in a way.
8.3 is only the GMP, which the contractor, we still need contingency, we need to
Right, no, no,
engineering fee and
8.3
stuff.
is the 7.7, 7.8, 179, 143, 437, less 180, plus 167, that's 8.3,
Right,
correct?
Hmm.
So that's what the bids we got, that's what this is. This is what you're saying that you want approval for,
right,
okay? So the actual bids you got were 8.3, or you got 10.5. The cost that you're saying is because we're over by 2 million, right?
right, we do the scope revision to get it down to 8.3 for the.
Okay,
guaranteed
I think I
maximum
got you
price.
now, I got you now. So you're saying that originally it was more, so now it's 8.3, which includes the $2 million extra, right? You said it came in $2 million higher?
No,
So the
He's
original,
ramped up the scope of the work. He's reduced the scope of the work.
I know that, so the reduced scope of the work
Mhm.
is now down to 8.3,
right,
right?
mhm,
So we can do this job for 8.3 and with all these accounts.
with the additional
Right.
accounts, right, so
Right.
our budget now is no longer 8.3 because we added these numbers to it, the other accounts to it. So we have
So it's
roughly
8.
around, we have $9 million.
No.
Right.
No,
Look, what we got on here, I just added
Now
these
you
numbers up,
confuse me.
okay? I added the 7.7, I added the 167, which is the contingency, and I come up with 8.5 million.
right, minus the 180, so what, $8.3 million is the guaranteed maximum price.
Well, I'm not gonna argue the 180, but let's just agree on one number, it's 8.5, okay? Or 8.352,
Right,
which is the net of the 180, I guess. All right, whatever it is, okay? We're not gonna argue over a couple $100,000. So my point is that what you're asking for is approximately almost $8.4 million, right?
okay,
And we can do everything that you got here. And all that means is that we can pay for that. It's just that our state reimbursement is gonna be somewhat less than what we originally expected. Is that right?
right, in order to pay for it, I need to tap into the other
Yeah,
accounts.
you know,
right?
you gotta pay up front.
It's still
Right,
only
so-
60%.
So we've been able to pay for it. We have paid for it. Now we apply for the reimbursement from the state. We were expecting what, 60%?
60% of the.
So that's
the,
that's almost $5 million.
60% of the $8.3 million.
Yeah, it's about 5 million. Okay, and the state's saying, no, you're not gonna get 5 million, you get 3 million?
This is 60% of the $8.3 million, six is.
But where's the shortfall? I thought the state wasn't gonna go any higher. The state's still gonna go higher? Or,
No, the 60% of the budget, the approved budget amount is $8.3 million.
With the state. So it's not that the approved budget was at the 6.4.
no, we have to pay 8.5 or 8.352.
The city
Right, but
share.
The city,
state
that's
approved
what
the
we have to
6.4.
pay.
Here's the, in the backup. So
Yeah.
the city share of this amount is 3,320,000. Yeah.
Right, so it's
Yeah,
three,
so the,
3
the
point,
state covers.
it's
the
approximately
rest.
$3.4 million is at 40%.
You're not covering
Okay.
60% of 8.
So they're not paying, you're not,
6.
the shortfall from the state is approximately $2 million, the difference between 40 and 60. How much? How much were we expecting to get last
I
year?
don't have the number, I got
No,
calculated.
no, in percentage wise,
60%
60%.
of
Now-
of the budget that the state approved, which is $8.3 million.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty close.
that's right. Well, no, it's
Okay.
not pretty close, because if we're only getting 40% now, that's a $2 million difference, and that's what he's saying.
No,
Uh-uh.
the $2 million difference is the actual bids that
Correct.
came in at 10.8. We were budgeted
And he
at 8.3.
Right.
0.3.
So that's where the $2 million gap is from what was bid.
Well, but
It
these
is.
numbers here, we have to, these are value engineered numbers. Then.
These are.
If you got a bid, if
Negotiated.
you got a quote at $10 million, and you're asking now for 8.3, right? That's what the city has to pay, and you value engineered.
City and state, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And so you value engineered the quote that you got when you sent out, you requested bids. And came in at 10 something. You value engineered that down to 8 million.
Mhm,
Is that right?
mhm.
And that's what the state had originally said, I'm gonna give you 60% of. Isn't it?
No, it just so happens it's 8.3. When we talk about the budget of 8.3, so happened the same number, that's why I think it's a little
Well, it's
confusing.
8.5. Anyway, let's not argue about that. Let's assume.
No, the Brian McMahon budget is $8,302,296.
Right, but then you added, you took out another.
That's include GMP, which is
Okay,
construction cost.
let's not argue about that.
No,
Okay? I mean, just for principle, let's just talk about the theory behind this, okay? So in the budget, we've got $8.3 million,
Okay,
correct? And that's what we originally started with, right?
right.
And then you sent it out for bid and you got $10 million.
That's
This is what
including
it's gonna
hard and
cost.
soft costs, including our own contingency and engineering
Right,
fees
yeah,
and
but
stuff.
that's what it's gonna cost us. That's what we're gonna have. Well, the scope didn't really change.
It's
It
less,
just
isn't
was. No, the scope didn't change. I mean, the
Right,
bid
right.
came
The
in
bids came
higher
in
than
at
we
higher.
expected. So now you valued engineered that and got it down back to close to the 2.3 million.
But that's only a GMP, there's no soft cost in that yet.
Okay, how much is the
8.3
soft cost?
8.3, this GMP in front of you is only for the construction costs.
Okay,
So you gotta
so
add
that's the equivalent.
design fees.
Hold on. I think I got it. Okay, so the number that you got here doesn't include the soft costs.
Does not.
Does not include soft costs, which are about how much?
When you add soft and hard costs, it came out to be $9,007,000.
So it 9,000,007 versus 8.2, 8.3.
8.3. That's why we needed the other
So it's
additional
not
account
$2
to cover
million.
the difference.
So the total cost is the 8.3 million plus another 900,000.
$700,000.
Yeah. Okay? So we don't have, in here, we don't have the soft costs.
Right, you don't have the.
Now, of this 8.3 that we got here, we're gonna be reimbursed at 60%
Of the $8.3 million budget,
from the
Yes.
state.
yes.
Okay, So at this point, we don't have to ask it, what you're saying, we have to ask the state for more money is to cover those soft costs. Is that right?
No, what we're using is actually these accounts. It's all city money, and this additional city money, we put in $700,000, it's not reimbursable by the state.
Okay, all right, so then the state, what we expect to get from the state is gonna be approximately what we thought we were gonna get, 60%.
60% of the $8.3 million
Right,
budget.
so we can go ahead with this 8.3 million. Okay, we got that covered, it's in the budget, correct?
Yes,
Okay, we're gonna pay for that. And we're gonna get reimbursement from the state at 60%, which is about $5 million.
whatever that number is. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In addition, now we have to cover the $700,000
Shuffle,
of soft costs.
right.
Okay. And so that's where we don't know where, we're gonna try to get that from the state as well.
No,
Okay, so that's where we'll need it.
that's all city money. That's why these account, when you add these numbers up, roughly about $700,000. And then the state will not
But then-
reimburse us more than that.
Hold on.
Okay,
If it's $8.3 million, all of these accounts are gonna be $8.3 million, right?
the first two account, it's a city share, so that those first two account add up to $8.3 million. The rest of the account, we add up, is roughly around $700,000.
If I take these numbers, 7.8, 179 or 180,000, 143 or 144, 437, less 180, plus 167, I come up to 8.5 million. That's what should be in these accounts, right?
That's about $700,000. In these accounts.
I apologize, but this does not make any sense to me. I must have made a mistake, so I apologize to. So I take 7.77, no wait. Hold on. 771, 80, 44, 437, minus 180, plus 167. It's 8.5 million. 8.5 million.
Where'd you get the 167? Oh, the contingency. Yeah, got it,
Contingency.
got it.
I'm
Okay.
including the contingency in that.
Mhm.
So that comes to 8.5 million. So my question is, of that 8.5 million, all of these accounts are gonna cover that 8.5 million?
It's actually should be coming up about $9 million.
The city share and the state share, the first two accounts are the 8 million, and then the
Eight-
other soft costs are the next.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Right.
accounts, right?
Right,
So that's where the 700.
700,000, roughly 700,000 come from.
Yeah, but you're saying here, you're looking for. We have to pay everything up front, right?
Yes,
So what we should be paying is 8.5 million. Then we were getting reimbursement from the state at 60%, which
let me
is another
interrupt you.
$5 million we're getting back.
That's
the
not-
project right now, what's in front of you, is $9 million project. The GMP is about 8.352. The balance of it is around $700,000. It's considered soft costs.
Which is also city share.
Yeah,
Right.
we still have to pay
So
that.
there's the city share
Yes.
that's reimbursable,
No,
There's
the
the
additional
same
$700 is not
check.
reimbursable by the state.
is that right? So it's kind of like three different.
I honestly, I don't know what I'm missing here, but if I add these, all these numbers up, which I just did, plus the contingency, it's 8.5 million. And that doesn't include, that does or does not include soft costs. Where's this $9 million you're talking about? Right. You follow what I'm saying?
I am following you, and
Am I off base here or something?
no, if the soft costs aren't in there, who's gonna cover the soft costs?
We are,
We being the city?
city. That's why that's why I'm using this account, the city account to cover it. And these additional money are not reimbursable by the state. The state only covers us up to $8.3 million for reimbursement purposes.
These
So-
accounts.
Yes,
Let me-
so,
let me
so,
understand.
so the soft costs are coming
Here,
from these accounts.
it's like that, see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then soft cost should be in the 8.3,
Let me see.
but it's not.
The guarantee maximum price.
You're asking, great.
The guarantee maximum price, $8.3 million, include all the listed items in here. The soft cost is actually beyond these numbers.
Yeah, but what you're saying here is that I gotta get 7.7, correct?
Yep,
You need 179, right?
right,
You need 143, correct?
right,
And you need 437, correct?
right,
Less 180.
right. When you add all that up,
Plus you also need 167, right?
say it again?
You also need the 167 too, the contingency.
No,
What do you mean, no?
when you add these five numbers together, equal to the guaranteed maximum price.
If you add those numbers together, you come up with 8.3,
Right,
okay? Fine. So 8.3, that's what we're gonna spend, okay? You're also gonna, you could possibly spend 167, but I'll give you that, okay? Then all of these accounts are gonna take care of these numbers that you talked about.
no,
Yeah.
no. These additional
Okay, then
account,
where are we getting the
Sure, Jim.
8.35?
these when you add these numbers together, you got $8.35 million.
Where? In which
When these
account?
five numbers, $7.7 million and all that, and
Yeah,
you need
in
a
which
permit,
accounts
it came
are
up
they
to
coming from?
$8.3 million.
But which accounts they come from?
Those were,
City share.
that was a special appropriation last year.
Right, so
These all came
so
from
this
special
all,
appropriations.
this go to a construction contract. These are contingency and everything go to the construction manager. It's a construction cost. Additional to this $8.3 million, we have design services, we have project management services, we have contingency. It's not listed in this. We only approving a contractor. There's another $700,000 we need. That's why it came out to $9 million,
It's not reimbursed.
not reimbursable.
Last year, when we approved the special appropriation for this project, meaning we had to show the state that we had the full amount available, that amount was $8.3 million, correct?
40% of the $8.3 million, our share is 40%,
Actually, I think we had to show that we had the full amount.
The soft
Available.
costs as well.
not for the state purposes. The state only required to show 40% the city share. But in order for us to sign contract, we went back to ask for the state share of 60%, not because state wants it, because when we sign contract, we need to show the state share as well.
Right,
Because we
because
have
we're
to
not-
upfront the money.
Right, because we gotta ensure that we have the full 8.3 available, because it's not like the state's gonna reimburse
Right.
us 60% like overnight.
Right,
That's gonna be a slow
we're cash
process,
flow
so
thing that we
to
need.
pay the bills, we had to make sure we had 8.3 available.
Right,
And then slowly over time, we'll get reimbursed. So we ensured that the allocation on the city side, that we had 8.3.
okay,
And now we're being informed that the bids came in to do the complete job at $10.8 million. So there's a gap of over $2 million.
right. And that's why we went to go and negotiate with them and reduce our scope to get it back to a $9 million project.
So $9 million.
And then of that,
So
the
it's a
contractor
charge.
gets, contract in front of it, the GMP is so happened to be $8.3 million. So that's why we need to list the other account of $700,000 to cover the differences.
So why, I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So why is the soft cost not here?
It's actually in your backup.
But
But,
It's not in this
but
number,
but
though.
we only
It's
approving,
8.3.
we only approving the construction manager's contract right now. So the construction manager contract is $8.3 million.
Why are we putting this 700,000 in here? There's noting.
Because that money doesn't go to the construction manager. because we pay
Are we
engineering
getting
fee.
the whole 8.3 out of the city's share and the state share?
That's the 40 and the 60%, right?
I would
Do
assume so,
account
yeah.
those, yeah. My question is, honestly, the state doesn't reimburse us right away. And there will be interest on the money, the millions, that the 60%. Where is that, what account is that gonna come out of?
What we've been doing, in fact, we actually submitted our first partial reimbursement right now. We actually put information together. So we are gonna try to get reimbursement as soon as we can. So probably every 2 months. So.
Yeah, we
all high
submitted
school,
it.
for example, that's
It was
a-
submitted yesterday.
So,
Who's that?
yeah, that's Jim, I think.
Jim? Okay.
Yeah, it was submitted yesterday.
Yeah, so
So
what
we might
happened?
get the money ahead of time before.
Well, we can do it ahead of time, so we got periodic, like Norwell High School, which is $240 million, whatever this kind of thing. So we submit partial requests for reimbursement regularly, maybe every month to 2 months, depending how it falls. So that we're never out so much money, because the state share is 80% on Norwell High School. So we actually very aggressively trying to maintain a schedule, so we never out $25 million and we're upfront, and then that's the interest payment that we are concerned about, right?
Yes.
But at the same time is that the problem comes in when it gets towards the tail end of the project, when the state will hold back some money, they hold a retainage of 5% at the end of the project. 5% isn't a lot, but at the same time, you're talking about $240 million, it's a substantial amount. So that's why the finance department went out and got approval for additional bonding capability to cover that difference. Recognize there's some interest payment that we had to make and stuff like that.
Right.
But we had made a commitment staff-wise, we had made a commitment to finance department that we will aggressively and regularly submit partial request for reimbursement from the state.
So are you doing that with this project as well?
Excuse me?
Are you looking to bond out if at the end of the project with this, or is that? Or
It's interesting because,
I don't
the
get it.
finance department has asked for funding capability for the entire project, but how?
the HVAC or
Yeah,
the,
HVAC.
I'm sorry about the high school, and I understand
Yeah,
that part,
okay.
yeah, I'm like, so it's the same for this, or, yeah.
So how much we actually have to spend to cover the state share? Really don't know how much it is, but when we get down to it, because it's a smaller
But
project.
that's what's being bonded.
Right, so potentially we are able to cover it with our finance department, figure it out, whether we have maybe, but whatever, just temporary cover it for a couple of years kind of thing. So it's not as substantial as our high school. So we don't have that conversation about temporary covering the state share. How much a burden is financially to the city, whether we get absorbed easily.
But Alan, that's not in our budget, so at that point, even if we bond it out, somehow we have to find other accounts that we can ship money to back.
No, I think.
No, what he's
I think
got
we-
here is he covers the 8.3 million.
Yeah.
And what he's talking about is that the bid that they got was 9.4 million, 9.5 million.
So you reduce the scope of it to get down back to the 8.5, so that we're only paying for what the state is gonna cover of the 60%.
Yep.
Right? We just don't get as much for the same amount of money. Right?
Yes,
We're gonna get this for this amount of money, we're getting this for
Well,
that
right,
amount.
at the same time, we shot about
But I disagree, I
$700,000.
disagree.
It's the city money to cover it.
But I would disagree, because even if the state is not getting these numbers, you're gonna give them different numbers. You're gonna give them a budget that's gonna be closer to $9 million.
No,
We
it's
are
some-
gonna give them a final closeout at the end of the project, a $9 million total expenditure. But they're gonna only recognize $8.3 million off.
But so, because the scope is smaller, I think maybe this is the question, that because we haven't done the weight room or the auxiliary gym, at some point, we need to reapply to the state for a second HVAC project that they may give us 60% or not.
But they've
Okay.
taken, but
But
they've
it's gonna
taken
be a
it,
second project, it's gonna be phase two.
but the auxiliary gym and weight room and the tunnel work and ground ventilators,
Right.
that's up, are out of it. That's out of the
They
scope
reduced the scope of the
altogether.
project.
That
So-
goes back
That's
to my
phase
initial
two.
question about the short, who's going to ask the state for the shortfall?
That's phase two.
Phase
Maybe a
two.
second
No, that's-
project
Well,
that they have to
it
submit.
really should be 1A, it should be happening now.
So my
Yeah,
question
There's two
would be,
projects.
Right.
if the state, if you submitted this project for this scope, right, I'm sorry. I don't know who's watching, probably not one. If the scope was this and the state says, we're gonna fund 60% of this. And then you say, well, expect the same amount of money, but we're only gonna do this part, so we're gonna come back to you for the from here to here part. Is the state gonna say, well, sorry, we're not giving you any, like, does that nullify our request with the state? Because the scope that they're providing funding for is not being covered, right? Like, they could just be
Keep
like-
in mind, what we asked the state for was this project.
Right.
We went out to bid and the cost came back this big.
Yeah.
So we're only going to do as much as we can with what we initially
Right.
received.
Yeah.
The additional work, we need to ask for more money from the state to do that.
Yeah.
But with the strategy that Alan just shared with us, we can do the bare minimum with what we initially asked for.
As long as
And
the
in the
state
event
doesn't
we
say,
get additional funding from the state, we'll be prepared from a design standpoint to do that additional work without disrupting the initial work. But it's up, the question mark is whether we're going to get that additional money from the state. If not, if we wanted to still do that work, that comes out of the city share.
And we could do it at some future point, possibly.
as
Yes,
long
if we
as
can
the
afford
state is okay with giving us the same amount of money for less work. That would be my concern.
No,
They wouldn't come back and go, oh, well, we gave you money to do the whole school,
I think
and now you're not doing the whole school, so we're
No,
not
I
gonna give you
think
the
what
same
Greg
amount."
is saying
works
is the
that way.
project,
I
the
don't think it works.
project was an $8 million project and they agreed to give us 60% of the 8 million.
Right,
So they're gonna give us $5 million and if we want to,
regardless of what the scope is.
and you know,
Well, we've been consistent on the indoor air quality improvement, so we haven't
think-
changed that.
I just wanna make sure it doesn't, like, I know I've written a ton of grants, and if I go back and I say, oh, well, I only did one workshop, even though the grant, I said I was running 5, they'd be like, well, we're giving you a fifth of the grant that we promised you, or sorry, you didn't comply with the grant, so we're not gonna, fund you. I just wanna make sure that we aren't, do you know what I'm saying?
we didn't give them a detailed
Did we?
spec sheet of what this was gonna look like. Didn't we get the whole 36 million up front?
We gave
And
them
then we
scope
decided
that
how we were gonna do
We are doing this stuff, yes,
Yeah,
And it,
But-
was it
but-
itemized or no?
but,
Was it itemized of like what that scope?
I don't remember.
entailed?
Yeah.
So I think it is detailed,
Okay,
right? But at the same time, it's not unusual that we, the city or all the community got the bid. The bids come in higher and then
So
people
it's-
go value engineering and get the maximum of the money they're given. It's not that we're using the money to do, replacing the side of the building.
so it's not gonna
It's-
nullify the contract.
Right, right.
but they gave us 36 million, I think was the number, wasn't
Yeah.
it? 36 million in
Total
total.
project, combined
And then
city
we,
and state
then we
has
take that
36 million.
36 million and see how much we can do in each one of the
Right.
schools. And so,
So
you know,
it's
they're gonna give
one
us 30,
timeline.
they're gonna give us 60% of 36 million. And if we decided not to do row 8 in school, I would expect we'd still get that 5 million, that 36
Yeah,
million.
that's it. It's the second year that the state have run this program.
Yeah.
So when you ask this question, I understand what you're asking exactly.
Well,
Like-
the reason, because you started the whole conversation with, we submitted for 6 schools and we were shocked that they were willing to cover all 6 schools, which meant to me that they gave us money for this school separately, where they could have just given it to us for 5 schools.
Yep.
With the expectation that we covered those 5 schools. Now, if we go back, well, you gave us the money for the 6 projects, but we're only gonna do 3 because that's all we can afford, are they gonna be like, well, we'll give you half of for the 3 because the other 3. we
They actually, each project independent of each other. So it's not like,
So it's not dependent,
it's not, they're not
So it
tied
is-
together.
it
There's
is
totally
about-
separate, project numbers and, assigned to each one of them, so they're.
So it just happens to come to 36 million?
We always happen to be $36 million.
So that's
The-
different.
The unknown was what the bids were going to come
Right.
back at.
no, I
And I'm
understand
sure
that,
this
but
isn't
the
the first time the state
expectation.
has worked with a municipality where you submit a projected budget based upon what you think it will cost. But due to economic situations and climate, the bids come back higher. I'm sure the state will understand that these things happen and hopefully take in consideration. Well, we don't want to put that total gap differential on the city, so we'll consider giving you more funding
So-
based upon more updated numbers.
So if there was something happen, we had crazy tariffs go on or something where we couldn't buy the steel all of a sudden that we needed to buy. All of a sudden, and we go back to the state and we say, never mind, we're just gonna do one school for the 36 million. Would they be okay with that? I mean, at what point did they say, no, that the project was for 6 schools?
No,
We made that decision, we have
That's
six.
it.
Yeah, I think we have
That is what it is.
We'll have to cross that bridge if
Yeah.
we get to it. Hopefully we won't, but
Better get them done real quick.
Yeah, oh, like, sorry.
So I think this is a lot more helpful. to
It's in
me.
the package, so I don't need, I'm not.
I looked at that. Maybe I didn't look at it close enough, but I looked at it.
So, I'm sorry.
But then, but I think what's confusing here is that you're putting the soft costs on here.
This
That
is the
doesn't
soft
mean
part
anything.
for the CM, construction man and own contingency. The city also had own contingencies down here.
Right. That's
Right.
the 160.
So that's why I think we got confused.
Yeah, the 167 is down here. So this part,
This part included all these numbers included in here,
yes,
which come out to be this number,
right.
right? And then the rest of it is like engineering fee and everything else. That's additional
Yeah.
to this
And so
number.
if I add so what I was doing, is what's in the budget, the contingency has to be in the budget, but that's
The
immaterial.
contingency is coming out, again, I didn't list it, but it's.
But these numbers here, I understand, the 700K doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, right, because it's kind of clarification
Right.
that where this number come from. That's all it does.
No, it isn't, because this is
Oh, these numbers,
these numbers down here don't mean anything.
it doesn't really mean, but sometimes you,
But
sometimes you say, if I give you just an account
No,
number,
but
how
Alan,
much
if
you
you
say in
just-
that account?
Well, I know that.
You don't know that, right?
But that's why I said, did these accounts all cover this 8.5? No.
Right.
These two accounts are the only ones that cover this, okay? These down here.
Right.
This one maybe too. But these, they don't belong here, because we're not using these. to
We
this
are
effect.
using those
Yes, we
to
are.
cover it.
Not to cover these numbers, though. This is the 8.5.
Part of the project, they're just not reimbursed the same.
You got
at all.
to, so it's 900,000 with.
Right,
the-
right.
with the-
I don't have to list them here, I would have to list it down here.
Yeah.
Seems to make sense to me.
Are you visual? This is how it makes sense to me. This and this are these.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the soft.
See-
copy.
see,
Yeah, I think
there's-
it's not the same.
I'm sorry, Jim, you know, the reason I need to list it up here is when we do a
No,
change.
I get this, all of this I'm good with. I'm good with all of this.
Right.
I'm good with this and this. What I don't think we need is these accounts here because we're not using them.
We would be when we do change orders.
But that's not for this.
That's not for that, but
Okay.
then when we
And
approve
for
a
change orders, you're gonna use this one down
down
here,
there, right,
which maybe this then belongs down here.
right, but
Are you just trying to not have to come back and ask us for this surplus?
no,
No, this is the process.
No, some of
It's
the
what he
soft
normally
costs might-
does, yeah.
I want to
might
get
change.
approval, it's not unusual, we do,
But I don't think this is misleading for some.
okay,
I don't
so.
think it should
So
be.
potentially I can shift these number onto the bottom for contingency stuff. But then again,
But then
I think
you
I'm trying to, what I'm trying to do here is show comprehensively that this project, besides approving the GMP, we actually need these accounts to fully satisfy the entire
If you
project.
move this
But that
700
created more confusion. for
But
you.
if you put the $700,000 here, okay?
Still
You're gonna
understated.
be adding to the 167. So then you're gonna, okay, okay, I got you, what you're saying. But this then is.
I
added
think,
down
I think in
here.
an effort to be, I don't give it, to be transparent, to give it full, like, this is a $9 million project. And then there are engineering fees and the
Yeah.
other fees and stuff.
So if this is
So-
down here, it makes sense.
But then not all this money go for, then
Well,
your
you just-
question be,
yeah,
you only
you-
need $100,000. Why do you need all these accounts, right?
Well, then this should be.
It doesn't equal.
It's never that.
Then you have to have another number that says soft cost.
I know. But again, those are approved already because we approved the engineering fees and other things already. But it's very hard for me to tell exactly how much I'm taking out of each account, but.
Would you say
providing
we've
us-
already approved the soft cost?
For hire the engineer, hire the program manager, it's been approved and we contracted already. So these, I just want to show you that these, see, in the
So
perfect
this
world, I
is
probably will
already
only show you
spent.
these numbers.
This has already been spent.
No, we spend it from here. So it's complicated.
Yeah.
We
it's
spend
how
it, but these are only two accounts that we have all along,
Yeah,
right?
so
And that's where we're taking money. But now we found out that we're short money. I'm tapping into these accounts.
So these accounts have more than this in it. You just happen to use this.
These are actually all the full amount except this one. This one has more
So
money.
this has budget that would accommodate the rest of this?
Yes, because we spent the engineering fee out of these account already. So.
Okay, stop. $700,000 is not part of the 8.3.
So you shifted the debt from one account to the other. It's not like you're shifting money from one account to the other.
No,
Right.
It was debt
That-
from one account and
Because
you wanted to
Trump gets
remove the
rate.
debt from that and put it in
That's
another
why-
account. So you have enough still in that original account.
And that's why I list those accounts, so the council knows how much of these account. But some, on the first two accounts,
Well,
we
so
spend
let
money
me
for
ask-
engineering
let me
fees
ask
already,
another
so the
question.
800,000 isn't there.
So-
already.
so
8 million
this-
dollars isn't there.
This 700,000 is in these accounts now, in the budget?
Yeah, these account exist.
So these are all in the budget approved.
I intend to tap into them, but how much I tap into it for this,
Well, if
the
you're gonna
contract is
tap
not
in-
sure yet.
Well, but that would be the same as the contingency.
Because what we did, some of the soft call came out over here to hire the engineer and stuff like that, so I don't have full amount in here. So that's why I had to list these so that, because in order to satisfy this, I'm gonna use some of this money to satisfy, because we spend money here already.
But they were still short 700,000 because you're taking, you don't have the 8,352,000 in all of these accounts.
The first.
No, because
But
they
there's
were
still-
already with the special appropriation
Right.
there. It's in the general
we
fund
have-
until we use it.
I know this, the only one reason why we got confusing it a little bit is that our budget, these two number, the first two account come out to $8.3 million.
Right, so this is in these two accounts.
No, because we spent some of this money to pay for the engineers and
Soft
stuff
costs.
already.
Okay.
So I need to use some of these to cover the difference.
But these are the soft costs that you're talking about.
It's not specific for the soft costs. It's really,
It's kind of like a balance.
Balance,
sheet.
right.
It's like.
Yes,
you're moving
yes,
from the
that's-
Balance sheet from
yes.
one
It's not a
account,
balance sheet.
the debt
It's,
over,
it's not a balance sheet because you're expensing this thing.
right?
And the balance sheet is you're just moving stuff around from account to account, but this has actual, you're gonna actually spend. Okay? So these accounts here, you're telling me that you have another $100,000 in there,
yeah,
okay? Plus you've already taken some out to pay some of the other,
no, I took money out here. The first two account to pay for the engineers and other things.
Right.
So.
but
we
now you have an
truly
additional
8.3.
700,000 to
Right,
pay here.
right.
An additional
Additional
700,000.
9,000.
And do you have $700,000 in these accounts?
So, no, we have that, I intend
these
to tap
accounts.
into that much into these account to satisfy the total project shortfall.
Okay, but this 700,000 is not part of this 852. 8,352.
Some of it would be, because
No, because it's in these different accounts, right? That you pulled it out of that account.
You said that you paid some money out of
right,
this.
so I need some of this money to cover the shortfall to complete that number.
So you don't have the money in these two accounts to cover this.
Right now, we don't.
Okay. So what you would have to do is you would have to get a transfer of 700,000, or whatever you've got to pay to get, what's the shortfall?
I don't know what that number is. The reason we using these account numbers is because they are, generally speaking, they are either prime man accounts from mechanical improvement, and also this is a master plan money. Let's say so. Yeah, description here. These account is actually for prime man, indoor air quality account and so they are
That makes
consistent
sense.
with the purpose, so I don't need to transfer them. I don't need to do a special appropriations.
But we're approving, try to make that simpler.
Yeah.
We're approving, you're asking us to approve 8.352, okay, $8 million. And you're saying that it comes out of all of these accounts.
Right. How much?
But
each
in
one,
this
I
account-
you don't have, I didn't give it
But
to you.
in this account, you've already paid something.
Right.
You don't know how much.
Right.
And so what you're saying is that I'm gonna take some of this money down here,
Yeah.
some of this soft cost
Also in the
money
contract.
to make up that
Yeah.
8.3 million. Okay, I got that, okay? So then all you have to do, along with this account, this IAQ account.
Indoor air quality.
Yeah, okay. So that, yeah, I can see your take. Okay. Then what I guess I'm asking for is that how much of this is going to pay this? And because you're telling me that you got another $700,000 of soft costs that are gonna have to be paid.
Because it's coming out of this account, and the reason that it has to come out of this account is because it already came out, but it's got to be shifted over.
But
to
he
pay
also
this,
has to
right?
pay, he's also mentioned that he has to pay $700,000 for
Right.
soft costs.
Right.
That's
So
what this
instead
adds
of
up to.
pulling it out of here, they're gonna separate it
it's-
to these accounts.
They've already pulled it out of this. Okay, this and
Out of here, yes.
okay, this and this, they have to, was supposed to pay for this,
Right,
okay? Well, however, there were
There's
other
not
costs,
enough.
there's other costs that they took out of here
Which
or
are
here,
these.
one of these. No, not necessarily, yes, he
the
could.
things that
Some
we're
of
gonna
these-
take out here now.
He wants to pay,
Some of that.
he wants to use some of this.
Right.
So then the question becomes, well, what about the $700,000 worth of soft costs?
They're
If you,
already
if
here.
you're, no, you're just taking it out to pay for this.
No, because
It's
coming out of,
He's paid some of this already.
right,
He's
out of
paid-
this account.
So there's nothing left in this account.
No,
There- there-
Hold on,
there
hold on,
is.
hold on. So let's say that this is $100 that we want to pay, okay, that we have to pay. And you paid some money out of this account already. So what you have left in this account is $50. And we have, and there's nothing in this account. So we have to find $50 more.
Right.
So you got to go down here and take 50 from this account.
So that you
And
still
that
have the
pays-
100 up here to pay.
So that we've paid that $100.
Right.
Okay? So that means that this account, which had maybe
That's
$50 in it, doesn't have anything in it anymore. It's an exaggeration.
Right.
Okay, so I said, okay, fine, then let's take it, if you take it out of there. And there's enough money in that account to make up whatever it is that you've taken out, dipped into already, that's fine. It's okay, but then that should probably come down here. Okay, because this is a part of a contingency.
That's fine.
So that's what I'm just saying is that this stuff here really belongs down here.
That's fine.
That's
That's
all.
fine.
And also.
That's just like
it's
having to
not-
write it
it's-
on a sheet. of
Again, all,
paper.
it's much, it's complicated. The reason being is that this is only showing contingency of this contract. Right, so if. I'm trying to give as much information as possible, but by doing that, it creates a whole set of questions, right?
Yes,
Big
So-
mistake now.
So what you.
You're trying to be too transparent.
Yeah, one of the things.
So maybe this, maybe we have another line in here that says, oh, we also have software costs of $700,000.
Yeah, but it doesn't show up here, that's the
I
problem.
think Jim needs his own paper that has it switched out. Cut and paste. I'm really gonna say.
But what happened is that this is a contingency, it's not the total, it's not total project contingency.
There is-
Only for the CM.
$700,000 is not an absolute number.
that right?
No.
The 700,000.
It's not absolute numbers.
So it's a contingency.
Right,
That's why I said, and that's what you said.
Yeah, but this is
Because they
This
did.
is soft cost contingency, this
This
is.
is construction contract,
Okay,
So that's
so have
good enough.
contingency number 2.
but with no approval required.
But this
Sure,
contingency is 60% reimbursable, this contingency is
It's
not.
not.
Right, so there is a difference, which is why it has to be
Mhm.
separate.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's that when we're approving this GMP, this is the contingency
All you
GMP.
do is just put 1, 2, 3 accounts,
Here's my scissors.
okay?
You have scissors too?
Greg,
Teaser
He's
bag.
gonna cut and paste for you.
Greg, you follow what I'm saying? No.
Lost Greg too,
Yeah, so,
at first.
I mean, if you had
All right,
these five numbers
right,
total this
that
month.
number.
You're listing this to show these numbers should also total this number.
No.
Is that correct? So then I'm lost as to why you're showing these down here.
Because what happened, we spend money out of these two accounts. This is the project account of $8.3 million. We spend money already. Right? And also for, I intend to be
Where the debt is coming from.
transparent to show that the total project cost it's actually $9.3 million. So 8 point something is the construction cost,
Here we go.
right? And then there's all these soft costs.
Okay.
So to be transparent, I need to come out with $9 million. That's how I come up with $9 million for this. At the same time, is that when you add these numbers plus altogether, it came with roughly $9 million. Then because as we start the project, we're taking money out here. So there's no truly, when you add these two original budgets, it's for $8.3 million. There's no $8.3 million in here now. I need to use some of this money to cover the difference.
What would have been helpful is if you added a number for the city share and the state share here, so we could have added all these numbers up from these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 accounts. And we would have came up with
Roughly $9 million.
$9 million. The fact that there's no number here.
Yeah.
That causes confusion because you're like, okay, so you add up these numbers, it's like, okay, that doesn't add 8.3 million.
I was actually debating whether to actually give you those numbers at all, because that's what I was concerned
Big
about.
mistake.
Well,
You know, if I just listen to the account numbers and say anything,
yeah,
Well,
If
she's
you-
there all
if-
quiet.
I
But
know,
Greg, if he
Nicole.
puts those numbers down
She's
like that
ignoring
and
us.
comes up to
Hi,
9
Nicole.
hi,
million,
Nicole.
then that 8 million is.
Miss us, right?
Is, 8.3 should be 9 million.
Can't hear me.
Exactly, so this is, it's not, we read what we see in front of us. And we're looking at these numbers and saying, hold it, they're not adding up, but I understand your logic. But if there was a number here and a number here that totaled 9 million,
right? Then you know you gotta cover it.
then we would have asked, then we would have said, okay, you're saying you can pull from these accounts and that totals 9 million. You have enough to cover the 8.3.
Yeah.
We move on.
But now it becomes 9.
Okay,
Well,
Can we vote?
realistically, we're
I know.
used to
Yes, can
seeing,
we vote?
That's-
Almost there.
we're accustomed to seeing, if you put a number here. And then you put where the accounts listed, where that amount is coming from,
Doing that.
these two should be the
next two
same.
are
Okay.
much clearer.
so I can simply,
Fine with us?
so for sister, I want to finish this, so. Say I'm in
Oh,
charge.
I think we all do.
So, for the, so if I put
You're having a good
the,
time.
yeah, so if I put in the, was the city share and state share, put the original budget numbers in there. Then we're good.
If you put the amount that
This is
you're
what
pulling
Greg's
from
saying.
these accounts to come up with this 8.3, yes.
No, it wouldn't be coming in.
Then it becomes, then you gotta change it.
Well,
Then the-
that's
And
where,
7,000.
that's
That's
where
where the
that's where
confusion
the
is.
confusion is, because you're saying you're pulling from these accounts to cover this amount, but they're not apples to apples. This is a different number from this, which is causing the question, why are these numbers different from the amount that you're asking for? These numbers, anytime we get something that says account numbers noted, and you look at the numbers, these numbers add up to this number. And if they don't, that's where the question comes in. Why are these accounts listed for a higher amount than the amount that you're saying you need here for this authorization?
And it's
Either don't
because,
put
and
the
it's
amounts down
because,
there. It'll-
because the 8.3 is the guaranteed maximum price to Newfield, where the difference between the 8.3 and the 9 million, that's your soft costs, not necessarily
Right, right.
going to Newfield.
So,
That's where,
so to Greg's point, why don't you just take the numbers that add up to the 8.3, okay? And then take the 700,000 and put it as number B or another number underneath there.
But can I
Because
ask?
you're asking us to approve this amount,
That don't agree.
but you're including the soft costs in here because this comes up to 9 million. So 2-3 months from now, we say, okay, when do we approve the soft costs for 700,000? Well, they were in there.
Well, right now, he doesn't have it.
so would it be better if, to move this forward, right? So for the council meeting, if you were to just add, a separate soft cost.
No, I think that raises another thing.
Or you make.
I can
everybody
officially-
watch this.
Huh?
Or you make everybody in the council watch this to understand it.
I think it will just confuse people. How is the best
Because-
way to
because
lay
the
this out?
existing Budget
Mhm.
numbers. It's very hard for me to, it's changing every week.
Right,
Because I'm making payment for the
Yep.
engineers, the dollar amount, it's always changing, so that's why I don't put the dollar amount, it's what's in there right now. By the time I do this, next Tuesday, it may be a different number, so.
Yeah, but it's gotta be,
Approximately.
it's gotta be at least something.
Nice.
Approximately.
But then the other number for what I need from the other account will also change.
But
So-
Alan,
Yeah.
the first two, the city share and the state share, does that not add up to the 8.3? So even if you just put 8.3 arrow to those two
But then you don't
accounts.
need to show the other account, because that almost satisfies the contract.
No, what he's saying is that those first two accounts that the city share, the state share would not add up to the 8.3.
Right.
Because you need.
Because he's already taken some of the money down
But
here.
besides services,
Not,
to pay
not
for
if he
that.
shifts those soft costs to all these other accounts, then,
Well,
then
then he has
the
to-
other two will be
But then
8.3.
he has to go through, the finance committee to get a budget
Yeah.
transfer.
And also, it's it's a,
I thought he was asking us.
this,
to
this,
sh-
the
write
reason why we're
checks.
having this kind of, it's very unusual what we're doing. It's not like, you pay for road, this is an account number, that's an
Really?
account number.
This is
But
unusual?
This is
No, it's not.
financially and accounting wise.
I don't think it's that unusual. I can understand where you're doing it, because you're finding the account that got the money and you're using that to fund it.
Can I just
Okay.
interrupt for a second? Only because, I'm feeling bad for Jim sitting here waiting to do a school construction, project update. Do we need a school construction project update tonight?
I can just quickly.
You
go
can
over
do
it.
a
I
quick
see.
one, yeah, because I feel bad for Jim sitting here waiting to do his project while we,
Well, I'm also here trying to back Alan up, but I'm not doing a very good job of it.
is there something, something you can contribute here,
And
Jim?
maybe
to help
that's
us
why you
out?
should, that's maybe why you should leave here.
Jim, how long will it take you to get to City Hall? So that-
I'll see you in the morning.
What about, what if I sit down with you and
Sure.
rejiggle this thing and then pass it by Greg? And
We have to do it tomorrow, I guess.
we can do it tomorrow.
I'll stop by my office tomorrow.
No, but I'll do it.
And email it to you.
Would that be okay with you?
Yeah,
I think we're on the same page.
I think that we just, not only for the approval, but for historical purposes. This needs to be clear because this is not the last time we're going to see these types of changes. So I think it's important with this particular HVAC project, the fact that we already know the bids are going to come in higher. We got 6 schools to address. We need to have a clear understanding how we're going to address each school and making sure that the numbers are right, because at some point, we're going to have to ask the state for more money. And we need to have a clear trail on what we spend and what we're asking for. And right now, this is a little confusing.
If I do something different,
If I don't put the dollar amount on the other account,
Mhm.
That would do.
That's
would
even
help.
that is helpful.
again, I put those numbers in because I
Why
want
don't
to
you-
be,
why don't you
it's
just
a
do that?
transparency. I want to show you
Yeah.
that we're taking $100,000.
Why don't you just do that? I think
Just
maybe
take
that's.
the
a
numbers
simple-
out.
That's probably the
Yeah,
easiest
just
thing.
take the numbers
Because there's
out.
so many variables, like, you
Yeah.
know, I want to create flexibility that, you know, as we
Yeah.
want to take it out of that account, for
Okay.
different
No, no,
reasons.
no, no.
Like you
Let,
said-
let Jared worry about
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Right.
So
So
again,
just-
I put those dollar amounts for,
Okay.
so that, you know, how much, why do we have all these accounts, how much is in there kind of thing? That's why I'm doing it. But then it creates a whole set of another question.
And if
that-
you
that-
did
That's
that-
for about half an hour to an hour already.
Yes.
If you did that, then you'd also have to put in the number for the city and the state.
I know, it's complicated because that number's still changing every week.
Yeah.
So once I put that number, if I put a number down
Leave
here,
the, leave the
then
amounts.
these
off.
number changes also. right?
Just leave these amounts off.
All right,
Okay,
Just show the account numbers and leave the amounts off and.
and if one more, I'm trying to understand a little better, the tax machine actually breaks down all these numbers. So all the
Mhm,
information is available more than
Mhm.
anywhere. All right.
Okay,
I
all right, so
think
that's what we're gonna do.
This
We're-
is
You're
one
gonna
project.
just,
I
okay,
I may
so we're gonna
still,
vote,
I may
but,
still stop by and see you tomorrow
okay,
anyway.
we're
just to
going
put
to
you up
vote,
some-
but you're going to remove the numbers and it'll be less confusing.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
all right, are we good?
Unless Jim has something to say about it.
No, Jim, don't say another word.
No, I'm good. No, we're good.
All
right.
Jim, you smile and
Okay,
you
yeah,
look.
we'll get to number, hold on, we'll get
Yeah.
there.
No, no,
All right.
I'm only kidding.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so, okay, so we know what we're doing. We are voting on the amended language with that minus 180,000 and moving forward for the council backup, you will remove those numbers, so it will be less confusing.
And we'll check them.
And yes, you can do that. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, D.
I
What'd you
appreciate-
say?
Don't touch.
I appreciate due diligence. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. D, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Riley, to execute a guaranteed maximum price GMP amendment to the Newfield Construction Group LLC's contract for the Silvermine School HVAC IAQ grant improvement project. State project noted for a total amount not to exceed $2,133,000, $205. Trade costs, $1,794,000. CM fees, 2.2% is $45,920. CM contingency, 1.85%, $33,189. General conditions, we just need to adjust that number, $260,095. Account numbers noted. Authorize owner contingency allowance for change orders to the GMP for total not to exceed $101,371. Account numbers noted. Do I have a motion for the item as amended? Mr. Burnett, thank you.
So just, Madam Chair,
Please.
for our edification, can you, what amount was in the budget and what were the bid
Sure.
amounts that came
All
back?
right, this is Silvermine.
So,
Bear with me a second. Silvermine, the budget is $3,025,000 roughly. The bids come in, including softball, would have been $5.244 million.
another $2 million gap.
Right, and by removing some of the scope, a lot of the scope, we come down to we are replacing the boilers in that building and we're also bringing air conditioning into the gym. So we get down to total project cost, $2.6 million, of which the guarantee max supply is $2.1 million. You follow that?
Mhm. How much you taking out of midwife?
And you didn't confuse us with all the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
This is why I was like, if you didn't do Silvermine, you would have enough money to cover. Man, the entire structure.
Yeah, but it's, the problem is that I have, we have to go for a special appropriation. By the time we do that, it's a month and a half later, we missed summer construction. The boiler is being delivered. We bought the boilers directly already. It's being delivered in probably the end of the month. So again, you know. The different,
That's a good thing, because they're steel and aluminum.
I'm sorry, I gotta walk over there.
No, I'm just kidding.
See, I told you you should have sat here.
Huh?
You should
I
have
know.
sat here.
But be nice to see, be able to see you guys. Any more questions? Are you afraid?
No, this one's clean.
This one's. so
Clean and clear.
straightforward, right?
Yeah,
No,
okay,
I was referencing that I think there's steel tariffs going into effect.
yes.
So I was worried about our construction costs.
Well, yeah, the problem with the tariff issue, we talk about, traditionally, I always thought the tariff really affects steel, but it's actually not. So even like when we order light fixture from all high school, until they go through custom, we don't know what's gonna happen. So it's more than like, so it,
So if you have the
Impact, we
boiler
have no
now,
idea.
good. Right?
and in the industry standard, tariff is not part of the contract because it's not, they have no control over it. So when you have a tariff issue, it's all subject to additional compensation by the home. So there's real concern, especially in all high school, even though we approved this light fixtures and everything else,
Well,
conduits
that's
and everything.
why I brought it up.
Yes, until you go for custom,
A lot of the steel is up, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff like desks and faucets and stuff. that
There's-
are
There
still-
there could be millions of things that are
Yes.
I know,
that are
that's-
gonna be subject to tariffs, so nobody knows.
I mean, back in 2003, we experienced a shortage in steel
Yeah.
internationally. And what we did, we actually bought conduit and put like three truckload of conduit and kept in the trailer. So that we can control costs, so instead of steel. But in all high school, steel is all bought out, it's being erected, so that's not problem, but everything else still is. Right.
Okay, we're good?
Yep.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Item E, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a guaranteed maximum price GMP amendment to the Newfield Construction Group LLC's contract for the Merrimack School HVAC IAQ grant improvement project, state project number noted, for a total amount not to exceed $6,076,633. Total trade costs, $5,489,967. CM fees, 2.2%, $130,808. CM contingency, 1.85, $101,564. General conditions, $504,294. And deleting the permit fee minus $150,000. Account numbers noted. And authorize owner contingency allowance for change orders to the GMP for the total not to exceed $121,532. That's 2%. Account numbers noted. Do I have a motion? Ms. Dahl. Thank you.
All right, so again, we mentioned that, on Narragansett School, is Narragansett, right? Yeah. We are doing everything except the air conditioning in the gym. And just for your information, bear with me for a second.
Yeah, so what was budgeted?
Narragansett School budget is $6.4 million. The number total, including hard and softball, would have been $9,600,000. So that's like
That's the
50%.
bid, 9.6? Was the bid?
9.6, that would have been the number. We are able to bring it down to 6,698. So we're short about $300,000. That's why the other account is listed here, the master plan. But what I intend to do is that in July of this year, I intend to go to board estimate for a request to do a special appropriation because we have about $800,000 free balance from the Brookside School project. So I'm going to ask BET to reduce the budget amount for Brookside School. And because that amount of $800,000 include 40% of city money and 60% of state money, we can only ship over the city share with 40%. 40% of $800,000 is about $320,000. So I'm going to reduce Brookside by $800,000, but move $320,000 into Narragansett. to cover the shortfall. But meanwhile, I listed the other account numbers so we can tap into it in case we need the money. But at the same time, my goal is go for a special and add $300,000 so we don't touch this other account in the long term. So this is a real interim solution so that we can sign these contracts.
There's also 300,000 in contingency on high school, so if you don't go over the contingency.
I know, but we don't know yet, right?
No, we don't know.
So at the end of the day, I'm hoping there's still money left over, but at the same time, it's like, I need to put enough money in front of us so we can do these projects.
He's got his calculator out again.
Oh, no.
You want us to wait for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting the- Why do I have, is the 6,076, is
Did you
that,
delete the permit fee?
is that less the 150?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I just want to emphasize that we really need to make a priority of going back to the state.
Mm,
Because just on these three projects, there's a $7.5 million gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we should not be waiting on asking the state. If they say no, they say no, but at least we need to make the ask, because $7.5 million is a lot of money.
mhm.
And we need to start the process of asking for additional money, because we had this big unknown about the bid costs and other factors, and they need to be updated on where we're at.
Agree.
So who's calling about that tomorrow?
And you need to.
I do have, I'm sorry, I think I got a problem.
Uh-oh.
If I add these numbers up, the 5.489, 130, that's a that's,
Minus 150.
okay, but 130, 101. 101, 564 plus 50 or plus 504, 294 minus 150. I get 6,226,000.
We're off by a little bit.
Yeah, I don't understand why though. I've added it twice and still get the same number.
Okay, I'll double check it. I know we are really looking to approve this, right? Well, the number is actually on the back.
I get the exact amount.
Six
I
or
get
seven.
607. That's what I got.
And if we go back to the state
Yeah, I
at
hope so.
60%, that's $4.5 million. That's significant, right?
I don't know what to advise the common council. It's a very kind of interesting bidding and environment. When we bid this, do we get a lower price or a higher price in 6 months from now, a year from now, or 2 years from now? So again, we only get one bid, right? So is that a good price? Is that like, is it? And it all depends on when you go out to rebid again, what is the climate at that time in the economy? If the economy is good and people are busy, we're gonna get even higher price, higher numbers,
Yeah,
right? But at the same time, if there's competitiveness in the potential would be lower. So it's estimate is estimate. I mean, we can do our best to do estimating, but it's a little bit of a challenge.
I don't think the idea is to go back to the state and say, we need more money for this project. I think the idea would be to go to the state and say, we have these things that we did not do because we couldn't fill them with the scope of what we could afford.
Got it.
Can you give us money for the things to finish the projects that we did not finish because we didn't have enough money? If they could do 60% of the auxiliary gym and 60% of whatever the shortfall is for the other two schools, it would be significant, but we'd have to put it together in a package for like a phase 2 of the HVAC, right?
Yeah.
We got the same number.
Yeah, I mean, just from a logistical standpoint. When we show these numbers like trade costs, total trade costs, we're putting up, is that a minus or a dash?
Dash.
Dash.
All right, so we gotta make sure, we
Okay.
should use a dash,
Okay.
because when you start
Good
looking
point.
at
Yeah,
numbers,
yeah.
it looks
You
like.
put like a
a
negative.
minus number.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got
Got
the permit fee, you got a dash. Yeah, you got is that a double dash to take out? the-
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's a little,
Mine instead of-
Two wrong doesn't make one right, right?
yeah, it's a double dash.
I think that's a double.
It's a
I think-
dash and a minus.
I think we also call that a double negative.
Yeah.
Well,
All
and-
right, I'll correct that for the agenda
Dashes-
tomorrow.
The dashes mean take it
Okay.
away. and
From a financial
that was throwing me
perspective,
off.
yes.
Yeah,
We're-
it does.
Jim is rubbing his eyes. I think he's getting a little.
Yeah, but I think you're also, you're better off in the top, like the 260,000, you didn't put it in parentheses. So that means it's a debit.
Yeah.
The other one's
Correct.
a
Oh,
credit.
yeah.
So that's a good
That
way
is
to
good.
do it.
That is a good way to do
I
it.
used to do a colon on it.
Okay, good idea. For future reference.
All right, okay.
All right,
Okay,
do you
All right,
need
we
to vote for
good?
that? I'll vote yes.
all right, okay, all right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All righty, unanimous.
That's the
Thank you.
schools.
And now, thank you for sticking with us, Jim. School construction project updates.
No, no problem. I wish I could have been more help for Alan there.
Maybe you should have
Um,
gone before him.
I,
Maybe Jim should have taught me, maybe you do a better job than I could. But
so, on South Norwalk, that project is moving.
Oh, I'm sorry to do this to you. Just one other thing on this six project. We only talked about 5 projects. We got 3 tonight.
Oh, right.
Also 3 tonight. We actually approved, we're waiting couple of months ago, a month ago. And Brookside was probably like 2-3 months ago. Only one we haven't talked about is Marvin. Marvin is even more complicated.
Yeah.
So the decision we made collectively is to rebid that project. So nothing is going to happen in Marvin this summer. Okay, the number is, it's,
Save it to next
the
year.
number we got was crazy. And the other thing that the environmental abatement and stuff, those numbers also all over the place. So we're gonna look to, we bid that stuff, we scope it, bid it in the fall, get the bids back in like late fall, early winter kind of thing, and see where we stand financially. And potentially I would go for a special appropriation to move money around to satisfy whatever that comes out to be, so that we can contract it in January or something like that for a guaranteed maximum price, so that we can order equipment for delivery before summer next year. So there is a plan in my mind to do this, but again, we couldn't get this done, get it started on Marvin this summer. So we just want to let you know, that's a even more complicated project.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, now for real, Jim.
Okay, Jim, sorry about that.
All right, no problem. So on South Norwalk School, that project is moving along very well.
We can't hear you well.
Yeah, talking to the mic.
On the South Norwalk, so is that better?
Yeah,
Hmm.
not really.
Not sure what's going on. Can,
That's a little better if you just get
Okay.
closer, maybe.
the concrete sidewalks and curbing are going in, asphalt paving is being placed. Classroom flooring, ceilings and millwork being installed. The project is really, beginning to take shape. What's not on here is we are scheduling, the movers to, supply, boxes, labels for the current program, for the teachers to box up their items and have them moved over during the summer. We've been coordinating with the furniture suppliers for delivery of furniture. We have a schedule for that, for this summer, for July, actually. So things are moving along. Newfield's doing a great job in getting this project open for us. We anticipate it being open for the new school year. Any questions on South Norwalk?
Could we possibly schedule a tour walkthrough in August before the school actually opens so that we can see kind of the final product?
Yeah, I
Is
don't
that
see why
possible?
not.
Yeah, I'd love that.
As long as Alan doesn't have a problem, I'm
Not a yes,
good
Alan?
with it.
I don't know.
School starts very early in August this year too, though. Have to be
Yeah, it does.
2 weeks. I think it starts like this. The 20th or something, like,
I think.
It has to be one of the
I think
first
I
2
mean
weeks
probably.
of the month.
At some point, we will do a grand opening. But I think before that, I think it's nice for this committee or full county council. Two other body has expressed interest. One is BET has expressed interest to do a tour, and also the Board of Education. So maybe I just schedule something together, and whoever shows up, be able to show up.
Early August.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yes.
okay.
that'd be good.
It is I mean, we kid around a lot, but it is very exciting. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
there's one building that is the biggest school that we have, elementary school we ever built in the community. We started in February, March of last year. It's been year and 14 months. And we struggle a lot with the aesthetic of the building on the exterior. I mean, Nicole was involved in it. We went through it, and then Tom Livingston at the point he was chairman of land. Was he a chairman at that point? No, I think he wasn't. I'm not sure. Anyway, so we were concerned about the aesthetic of the building. We spent a lot of time trying to improve it. It does look pretty good now. So again,
It's impressive.
it's wonderful, and I think it's good that we go through it together.
All right, moving on to Norwalk High School. Steel is going up. Alan and I were visiting Merrimack yesterday and debating what steel was going up where. I think we were both wrong, and Bill Hodel was right, and it was the auditorium steel that was going up. But we have concrete floors going in. We have exterior walls are starting to take shape. And MEPs are beginning, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing is beginning on the interiors. Utility work within the driveway is occurring, and we're still on schedule to be complete for the fall 2027 semester. Any questions on Norwalk High School?
I just had one question on the in the package. Is that when you had the, I guess you're showing the easement for Eversource? Is that? It looks like the football field is different than where I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be behind the high school, or I'm just looking at the whole thing incorrectly.
The new football field,
Yeah.
it'll be technically in front of the high school. It'll
Okay.
be where the old high school is now.
Softball field.
Okay.
Right.
No, I think it looks good. So what's that area to the left then? Below the parking lot, or to the left of the parking lot? And
There's a tennis court, new tennis courts down that area.
there's a shadow of, is that another building? Is that,
There's a field house.
it looked like a shadow of what used to be a building or something.
There will be, yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to,
Hard to
but
explain to you
yeah,
without pointing to it. Okay, it's not a problem.
okay.
There's not a lot of room on that.
I didn't do, is that, it's not Merrimack
No.
School, is it?
Yeah.
Is that the school there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably what it was. Okay.
Okay.
So just one quick question, the fall of 2027, that includes the athletic center as well, everything?
No.
Or no, just the school itself.
Just the school itself,
Okay, great, thank you.
because we have to tear down the existing school in
Right.
order to create the new athletic fields.
What are they gonna be made of?
Let's cross that bridge when we get to it. What are they gonna be made of? Turf.
Oh,
Yeah,
field?
that's the turf question. Yeah.
And crunchy, it's like.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's getting punchy.
Yeah, the next update would be the HVAC projects, but I'm not sure if you want to sit through another update of that. We are moving forward. We do have a delivery date for the Brookside rooftop units. So those are on right now on schedule, or at least anticipated on schedule. So we're excited about that, and we're going to be starting very soon with the remaining projects, obviously, except for Marvin. So we're going to have a very busy summer as it relates to the HVAC projects. Any questions? Very good.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you hanging with us tonight.
Not a problem.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Nicole wants to make a motion, I think.
Yes, Nicole, you do this, the honors. And the motion is?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Hold on, I have one more question.
No, that's me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.